friends. Bay Street Diary has always believed in bringing something new and exciting from the Canadian entrepreneurial stage to upgrade the knowledge bank of our viewers. We would like to thank you once again for your trust in us, and we will keep bringing new entrepreneurial stories to motivate the upcoming entrepreneurs of Canada. Today, we have with us the founders of Sandboxx Corporation, who have been helping organizations maximize their potential by advancing high performers. Let's welcome Leslie Strong and Greg de Koker. Leslie and Greg, welcome to Bay Street Diary.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So Leslie, from Gendermark to Sandboxx, our audience is keen to know about your journey. Also tell us what Sandboxx is all about.
Well, I started Gendermark, about 25 years ago. Oh. And Gendermark was a company I started to help advertising and marketing companies impact their external communication when they were selling to women. Okay. And I did this because I had done a number of researches that indicated that the difference in communication styles between men and women impacted not only in the workplace, but in external communications. As I went forward with that company and I was ready to start a family, I realized that having a company wasn't going to work for me. So then I went into one-on-one coaching and took on coaching executive women. And I've been doing that for over 20 years, coaching executive women. And in that, again, some of the challenges were really interesting because we saw that vying for advancement opportunities was really hard for women. And in some part, it was still that communication gap. But in a lot of cases, it was that unconscious bias that we all have about leadership. Yeah. That senior leaders look a particular way. They embody particular traits. Yeah. They behave in a particular way. So those challenges came up a lot for women. Yeah. And they came up a lot, as we know, those unconscious bias. Pardon?
What you call as glass ceiling, right?
Yes, and they come from those unconscious bias, and we all have them. And underrepresented groups and minorities also suffer from these. And from there, because of this, I wrote a book called The U Factor. Okay. And the U Factor was geared towards women to empower them to reclaim their power in the face of these unconscious biases and how to take control back in their life. Yeah. And then being that equality is such a big part of who I am, I was looking for the next venture and then met Greg. And we came together and we came up with this idea about having a place where people really feel like they belong in an organization. They feel like they're seen, heard, valued. And how could we impact that? Right. And so we created the Sandboxx.
Wow. Sounds great. So Greg, you possess vast entrepreneurial experience and you have been extremely successful in your ventures. What was the mission behind joining Sandboxx as a Chief Engagement Officer, and what are your achievements so far?
Well, thank you for that. I co-created the Sandboxx with Leslie because it completely aligns with my life purpose, which is to create more joy in the world by instilling a deeper sense of purpose and passion in people and organizations. So at the Sandboxx, we're all about making a deeper and wider difference with more organizations and as a result, more people. And as most of us are aware of, there's a huge low employee engagement out there. There's it's 60 to 80% depending on what article you read, right? 60 to 80% of employees are not engaged, right? As a result, there's high turnover, and then of course all the other negative ripple effects that happen as a result of that. So we want to transform that. We're committed, as Leslie mentioned, to accelerating leadership, advancement, inclusion, and as a result, engagement. So we want employees to be more engaged, and it's working. Our app is working. And the milestones, and the achievements that we've had to date. We've had quite a few that we're proud of. I'll just share a few with you right now. And one is we've created an app out of an idea. We're very excited about that. It's an idea we both came up with and have developed and nurtured. So we've created something out of nothing, and something that you can actually download on your phone and use it to scale and improve and measure mentorship or sponsorship programs.
Yeah, so user-friendly thing.
Exactly, very user-friendly, and we're continuing to get feedback. We've had very successful pilot companies, so pilot programs, including TELUS International, Raymond James, and Harris Computer. And we're in discussions with those companies as well as several others as far as white labeling and or licensing our app. So we're on kind of our path to generating revenue and, more importantly, sustainable revenue. And let's see what other, version 2. Yeah. So all that feedback that we're getting for our, from our app, we're using in our relentless ongoing internal testing, we're using all that to feed version 2, which we're very excited about when that'll happen midway through this year. So it's going to be spectacular. And then another milestone is just being on your show. We're huge fans of this show. So thank you. Yeah. So this is one of our achievements as well.
Oh, thank you. In fact, for coming on Bay Street Diary.
Thanks.
And Greg, you work very closely with companies and are focused on driving a positive change in organizations. And we at Bay Street Diary always believed that the biggest asset for any organization is their employees. What are your views on this?
We absolutely share the same view. So employees are definitely an organization's biggest asset by far. Yeah. So as Simon Sinek says, so goes the culture, so goes the company. And as Richard Branson says, clients do not come first. Employees come first. Yeah. And if you take care of your employees, your employees will take care of your clients. Yeah, exactly. Sure. So,
that's a nice thought.
We're huge advocates of that. I mean, the best companies and the best brands are built from the inside out. From being really clear about your essential truth to instilling that in your employees so they can deliver it at every touch point and every experience. Yeah. So it aligns with what we're all about at the Sandbox. As Leslie mentioned, we believe that it all comes down to people just want to be seen, heard, and valued. In other words, employees want to feel included. They want to feel like they belong. And sponsorship and mentorship are such huge, powerful tools to make that happen.
Yeah, sure. Coming back to you, Leslie, what, as per you, is that one thing that differentiates a good boss from a not so good boss? And as it is said, one should prefer a great boss over a great organization. Do you agree?
Well, ideally, we would like to have both. However, absolutely the great boss over the great organization. But, at the same time, why we've developed the app is to actually help organizations become great organizations. Because as Greg was just saying, when you have great employees, you can become a great organization. Right. But if you have a boss that isn't a great boss, and they are not going to help you grow and help direct you and help inspire you, well, it doesn't matter how great your organization is, you're going to not get to the levels you want. Sure. So a great boss is imperative. Yeah. And great bosses are hard to find. And so as a great boss, you want to find somebody who does inspire you, who does guide you, who does develop you, and works with you, and also helps to advance you. And again, why we have the app is because we're helping those great leaders and those great bosses develop and create more great bosses. Yeah. Right? Because you really kind of want to train of them along the way. And when that happens, you're bound to have a great organization.
Yeah. So Sandboxx is very innovative and helpful app. It helps companies accelerate leadership, engagement, and inclusion by matching senior leaders, sponsors with sponsorees. Right. How would you define a successful sponsor-sponsoree relationship? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there are several factors. And the first one really is ideally the sponsor and sponsoree choose each other. Okay. So often companies will kind of pair them, and it's better than not having, sponsorship or mentorship program, but choosing each other is a powerful way to begin a relationship. And we've designed the app to do just that. So the app suggests up to 5 best possible matches, based on the matching algorithms and the profiles that they've completed. And then it's up to the participant to choose their best possible match. We've had incredible success with that, so far. Mm-hmm. And the next one is they really want to kind of have a clearly defined sponsorship program or mentorship program to follow, so that they can use that to help kind of measure their progress, and make sure they're achieving their goals and help them manage expectations to make sure that they stay on the right path. Another factor is meeting. That's where the magic happens. So minimum monthly, if not more often. So that's where they get to build their trust and develop their relationship and build their relationship. And then you want to always remember that it has to be a two-way, mutually beneficial relationship, right? Versus the typical mentorship relationship where it's one way and it's usually just about the mentee.
Yeah.
So sponsorship, it's about both. So the sponsor advocates and champions for the growth and development of their sponsoree using their reputation capital. And as a result, they expect a great deal in return from their sponsoree, specifically high performance and loyalty.
Yeah.
So there are way more companies out there with mentorship programs than sponsorship programs, but we feel if they use these same principles, it'll help to improve their mentorship programs as well.
Sure.
So we're huge advocates of sponsorship and mentorship.
That makes a lot of sense. So Greg and Leslie, we love your work and your experience. What message do you have for the young and upcoming entrepreneurs of Canada?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot along the way. So we've kind of boiled it down to a few things, that we'd love to share with you. So one is, while it's important to identify a need and to do market research and then to develop that idea and that solution, it's also really important to test that idea sooner than later. And that's something that really transformed the growth of our company. We had a meeting, with a Fortune 500 company before we had business cards, before we had a website, before we had a brochure, just to see, are we on the right track? Or, is this a great idea or not? Or should we develop it? And through those types of meetings and kind of checks along the way, we've actually went from like a huge idea that was very general to a less general idea to a very specific, very focused idea of sponsorship. So very tight niche and segmented.
And with that, just to add on and stand on your shoulders on that one, the agility. We were very agile in our first ideas, and then we, as we did the market research, we kind of just molded along the way and said, well, what does the market want? One of our ideas as we were going along, 3 different players came into the marketplace, and we went, well, we can't play at this level because they had millions and millions of dollars, but it was like a little bit of a veer to become different. And so just being agile as different market players come in, as you go and talk to your marketplace and you do your due diligence and your market research, just to be able to go, oh, let me just take a little left-hand turn on that or a little right-hand turn on that. And so the agility was really paid off for us.
Absolutely. And also, while it's important to get feedback from other people, clients, potential clients, strategic partners, your actual business partner and all that, we don't dismiss or diminish any of that. It's also important to be really clear about what you stand for and really clear about why you're doing what you're doing and how you're different and better than your competitors. How your solution is different and better. If it's not different, it's the same. If it's not better, it's worse. So be clear about that. We call that our essential truths. Our essential truth is our core purpose, vision, mission, values, positioning statement, and character. And we use that as our strategic decision-making filter for all the feedback that we get, right? And for all decisions that we make. And it keeps us highly energized. And it keeps us, laser focused. And it's a big part of where we're at now and where we're headed.
Yeah, sure.
And I would say one last thing. We have hired in the places that we are not great at. So we brought on a CEO who is great at tech startup companies. Greg and I have never done a tech startup company, so there were things that we just didn't know. And we had ourselves already into a couple of little situations that weren't working out, and so hiring a person who had done this a number of times and was also not only does tech startups, but she takes these companies to liquidity events. And so, we were like, okay, well, that's somebody we want because she knows how to do it. She's done it, and she can help us. So when it comes to the numbers, which I'm not great at, and all these different things that, that we're not great at, we have someone who can. And so I say, hire into those areas where they're your greatest weaknesses. Yeah, because you need to be well-rounded, and we can't do everything. So that's why we get to do what we do best.
We tried to do everything initially, but
it doesn't work very well.
So we're like, okay,
and it keeps the partnership intact, right? When you're not you're not getting so anxious about doing things you don't know how to do and messing up, and so
keeps us humble too, right? It's like I don't know, and and do you know? No, okay, well let's talk to someone who does, right?
Let's have a person who knows it.
Absolutely.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Leslie and Greg, for being on our show and sharing your vast knowledge and experience with our audience. Bay Street Diary would like to present this Innovative App of the Year award to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow.
So friends, That was Leslie Strong and Greg De Koker from Sandboxx Corporation. We'll see you very soon with yet another entrepreneurial story from Canada. Till then, follow Bay Street Diary, listen to our podcast, and keep spreading love. Thank you.